everyone, and welcome to the first episode of our technical explanations for Radiance Unseen, also called Coding Unseen. Today we're going to be going over how the Sentry AI works and everything you would need to know about it. So, currently I have a scene view here and a game view on our screen. We have two Sentry AIs working at the same time. And on this view, you will be able to see all the raycasts and pathfinding it's doing, and this is the actual what the player sees game view. So if we take a look at our sentry and how it behaves, you're gonna be able to see that it has not two, three states. It doesn't seem like there's three states, but there are, and I'll show them all to you. Right now, this is what we call the patrolling state, where they are moving between designated points on the map, and they are using raycasts as their vision to try and see people. Or, yeah, pretty much see you. So as you can see, they're moving around here, and this is all the patrol state is. And if we shoot them, or if they see us, they will go for us. So in this one, I'll demonstrate seeing us. So as you can see, I'll do this one by the wall. So that you should turn. And I'm also going to be turning off the game sound for today. But basically, he will start shooting us, and this is what we call the pathfinding phase. Now, oh, this one's seen us too. So the pathfinding phase is where they go after us and shoot at us, and why we call it the pathfinding phase is because they're actually using a system called A-star pathfinding to get to us. So if I just run around here, you can definitely see that they're following, and obviously we can shoot back. And once one of them dies, that's the third state. That is the third state right there. Believe it or not, that is the last state. It's the one that they disappear in. That was just the death state, and we spawn particles, make them disappear, and that's it. Alright, so now that I've shown you basically the three main states we're going to be talking about today, I'm going to show you each and every state and how they work. So if I open the sentry up here, we have a lot of things underneath, and it looks crazy complicated. And I won't go too crazy on you, but this Sentry AI script right here is the main controller script, and how we're modifying the movement and everything that is to do with the Sentry. So I'm going to open this up, hit edit script, and I'll let Visual Studio load. So I'm going to ignore the variables for today, because you can see how they work. If there's really any other variables that you want me to talk about or anything specific, you can really put your comments below and I'll check them out. So I'm gonna go down to our patrol phase. Now, this is the main code in this if statement for our patrol phase. So what we're doing is, first at the start of our patrol phase, we are turning off pathfinding. Pathfinding was the thing you saw earlier where they moved toward us. So we're gonna go past these raycasts for a little bit, and we're gonna go here. So as you saw on the editor, if you didn't see already, I'll put a picture on screen. We have I believe an array of vector 3 points and positions. We use this and we loop through all of these positions, and we just go in between them. So you can have as many or as little positions as you want, and the code will all work fine. In the example above, both of them had 3 positions, but I could clearly just add a 4th one. We can go up to all this code over here. Now if you notice, I've labeled this code raycast pivot, raycast calculations, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all of these are actually pretty much repeating. The raycast pivot, as you saw on the editor, we have 5 lines, or also known as raycasts, coming off the sentry. These act as invisible lines that hit a collider, and when they hit that collider, they tell us information about them. So as you can see here, right now, we're just setting the rotation of each of the lines. So what the rotation is basically the offset from the main line. So we have one line in the middle and two on the side. And now that we have those two on the side, that is our vision cone, I guess you could call it. So that's where he can see and if he detects the player. So I can show you this in the editor, how we're using that. You can see we have raycast pivot through 1, which doesn't really have a number, through 5. And all of these are pretty much the same. They just have a raycast point underneath them. So what we're doing is we're putting a raycast on here, and then we're putting the point so far out from the sentry, and that's the vision distance. We will set a vision distance, and we'll have a separate object, empty game object, out here, and then we rotate it around with the raycast pivot. So we have a raycast pivot in the middle, then raycast point, and we rotate the pivot, and that'll rotate our entire thing. I might put a sketch up on screen of what that looks like. So if we go back in our code here, one more thing we have to do is we have to go into our animations. If I scroll down here, I believe, yes, change patrol animation. So basically every time we're going toward the next thing, toward the next patrol point, this is getting harder and harder to say, but we change the patrol animation, which is the one where you are walking up, down, left, or right. And you can see all of these. So if walking isn't true, and Y is greater, Y is less, and all this is really a crazy if statement, but I'll try and explain it. So next position, so that's the next position that we have. And then transform.position is our position. So if it's greater, if we're up, if we're higher, if the next position is higher than us currently, then we'll walk up, which is animation play up walking. If the next position is lower and we're higher than that next position and walking equals true, then we'll walk down. If next position is higher but we're not walking, we go up, and if next position is lower but we're not walking, then we go down. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't really know any better way to explain it, but we call this function when we need it. Alright, so that should be everything with the pathfinding, the patrol phase. One more thing I do want to note here is that we are casting for each of these. We are casting the raycast with Physics 2D, and we're just checking if we hit something if it's not null, and we're checking, we're drawing a line to the raycast point and calling it red. If it's not hitting it, it's green, and then we just check if the collider is the player, and then we turn C player true. Now, C player is the kind of the conditional variable for all of this. So if we go down here, else if C player equals true. So now we have seen them. And after that, you'll see this if statement here. Now, this controls our arms, and I'll get into this later in the video. But basically what you want to pay attention to here is our pathfinding animations area right over here. Now, what this controls is a raycast in between the player and the sentry, and why we have that raycast is so that we know when to shoot, basically. So when we see the player and when he's in line with our gun, then we shoot him. Alright, I'm gonna go to the arms now. So as you can see, we have a left arm and a right arm. These are the two arms right here, and I'll zoom in on this guy. So left arm and right arm, and behind them we have the actual sprites, and we have a shoot point. The shoot point is where we shoot from. The right arm is just the animations. So we have animations here for, I believe, when we have our opening. We have our gun coming out, and then we have it open. And the scripts that control these are right here. And these scripts worked for both arms, so I didn't have to rewrite it twice. Which, honestly, if you're going to get into game development, I would truly recommend, because then you can make tools for yourself and you don't have to recreate everything from scratch. So we're going to scroll down here a little bit, and we're checking if active. So this is on variable change, and this helps us with just the animations and how this looks. I'm not going to explain this too much, but if active isn't equal to check as active, we set it to it, and then that system basically helps us detect when the variable changes, and then from there we can do whatever we want. And from there, we can see we're just rotating here. This is all this is we're rotating for the player when this arm is active. And here we can see that this is a little animation that I can show you quite quickly. So hit play here. See that both arms aren't active, but you can see if you zoom in. See that little up and down motion that the arms are making? Kind of like they're flapping their wings almost. Yeah, that's what that code does. I didn't want to use the animation system because I thought code would be much more reliable in this case, and customizable. But that's why I have that. And I believe that is all we need to talk about with the arms. Yep, that's pretty much it. Alright. So, I'm going to talk about pathfinding for a little bit here. Hey guys, Editor Gavin here. Just letting you know that I kind of messed up in my editing and accidentally deleted the clip where I showed you that I turned on pathfinding, but just to show you proof, here's a little screenshot right there from the code. Yeah, so I'm going to go into a bit more describing of how this pathfinding system works, so let's hop back into the video. And it's going to go off track because I told you I'm turning on pathfinding, turning off pathfinding. What is pathfinding, may you ask? So currently in this Unity project, I'm using A-Star Pathfinding. I'll put a slap thing on the screen to show you what it is on their website, but basically pathfinding is we throw a grid on top of a plane or whatever your game area is, and that grid detects what parts are obstacles. For example, if I show you my grid, I don't know if I can show. No. Can I show you my grid? Visible. There it is. There's the grid. And I'll put this on full screen. So this is the grid that we are currently using for our A-Star Pathfinding. And this grid goes over the entire game world, and it searches for these guys right here. And it searches for anything with the obstacle layer mask obstacles. Now, I don't really know too much about how this system works, and I'm very, very new to it. But if we look on our sentry, we have a AI path script with I believe it has a speed. Yep, it has a speed variable right there. And what it's doing is it's taking this grid info and it's saying, alright, if this player is on this grid and I'm on this grid, what is the quickest path to get to him? And this probably took the people at A-Star so long to make, and I didn't really want to do it, so I decided, you know what, we're just gonna throw in A-Star Pathfinding because I'm not too fancy about making my own pathfinding system. And when I have in the past, it's been really, really bad. Like, I'll just, Editor Gavin, throw up something on the screen. This was, this clip right here that I'm potentially throwing on the screen. It was from Down Under, which was my first ever project when I was, like, maybe 12 years old. And it wasn't very good. It wasn't very good at all. and you can see the very bad pathfinding attempt. It wasn't too good. Anyway, this pathfinding system is so much smoother, and it actually goes around objects instead of through them. So it's just such an easy tool to use, and I really like it. So that's why I use A-star. You can use anything else that you really so choose, but right now I'm using A-star. The final thing I want to show you for today is I really want to show you these health bars right here. Actually, it's not the final thing, but you know. So these health bars, what they do is, I'll show you where they are in these categories. Sentry canvas. A canvas is like UI, and when you have this health bar object with fill border, and all this really does for us is we can go down here and change the value of our health bar, and it actually does the thing. So the fact that we have this is great, right? We have a configurable health bar. But what I can do with this is if I click on canvas and canvas group, there's this section here called alpha, and if I do this, it makes it fade out and fade in. So all I can do is control this by code in a for loop, and that's pretty much it. In that for loop, it says, oh, we take it down to 0 and we bring it back up to 1. So when they're shot, right, this is disappeared by default, but when they get shot, we bring it up to 1, which I'm having trouble with. And then after like 5 seconds after they're shot, it goes away. You know, and we fade it in and out just to make it a bit more, how shall I put this? A bit more clean looking than it just popping in then popping out, you know, like then just turning on the canvas and turning it off. I think you understand, right? Right? Alright. So after that, we need to show you one more thing, and it is this. So I have some prefabs in here, and this is the bullet that the sentry shoots. I'm not going to go too into that. It's literally just an object that goes forward. But this is the sentry explode, which basically what it does is, I'm going to double click this prefab. As you can see, when you hit this button, all it does is it just plays a quick like powder in and powder out effect. And this is using Unity's particle system, which I'm not really going to do the Danny meme as I did it in the devlog. But now that we have all of that, I think that's pretty much it. We take out the enemy when they die and when they run out of health, and yeah. That's pretty much all the like super particular details of how this works, and I've shown you through all my code, so if you want to use tiny bits of that for yourself, you can do that, but maybe refine or change your code. Just don't steal my code is all my policy is. Don't just Control-C, Control-V like Danny, you know? And I don't really like that, you know, because it's just stealing someone else's work, and it's not too fun. In YouTube videos, it's like they made it to share it with people, but this is a personal project that I hope to put on Steam and itch.io for a price. So it really isn't a good thing to steal these things. So it's kind of my personal thought process on these things, so just don't steal them. I really thank you guys for watching, guys. Ouch, that hurt. Thanks. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you found it really helpful if you're trying to do this by yourself. If you have any other questions on how to do it yourself, just shove them in the comments and I will put it in the comment section below. If you need any other help, you can go to our Discord server, which we have an invite link in the description of this video. I thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.